The 1910s saw Boise's continued progression from a town into a bustling, lively city. As the Progressive Era strengthened its hold on the nation, many local supporters sought to improve elements of society. Specifically, prohibitionists attempted to outlaw saloons and to smother prostitution. While a 1912 Ada County measure against saloons failed, Boisean progressives rose as an assertive force, in 1915 managing to replace the city's quiet mayor with Mayor Jeremiah Robinson, who hoped to clean up Boise by driving out gambling houses and saloons, as well as shutting down red light districts such as Levy's Alley, which is now 6th and Main Street. Progressive government, while less successful at the municipal level in Boise, was in full swing at the state level. An excellent example of this was the 1914 election of Moses Alexander to the governorship, the first Jewish governor elected in the nation. As such, Alexander received tremendous national interest. William Borah also quickly gained national attention as a U.S. senator, as he promoted Idaho interests in water conservation and management. Arrow Rock Dam was completed in 1914, significantly assisting with both of these issues and drastically changing the future look and use of the Boise River. For the first time, Boise had a surplus of water to help valley farmers raise enough food for the growing population. These accomplishments were due in part to the forward-thinking politicians of the day. Another visible sign of the Progressive Era in Boise was the new Idaho State Capitol building, built in the Greek Revival style as a virtual temple of government. The year 1912 saw many improvements and architectural progress centered around the Capitol, including the completion of its central block. The crowning description of the city's pride and status was a bronze eagle placed atop the dome during this year. This stately touch symbolized Boise's and Idaho's aspirations as a state and support of a higher democracy. In that same year, John E. Tortolet was awarded the contract to design the east and west wings, which flanked either side of the Capitol's central block. Construction began in September of 1919, after funds were secured, and ended with the end of the decade. All in all, the sum for construction amounted to about $2 million, plus the $130,000 that went into furnishing. The Capitol itself added up to 201,000 square feet and loomed at 208 feet tall. Once fully assembled, the east and west wings provided a plethora of office space for the various agencies residing there. Skylights illuminated each space, and the Senate and House of Representatives worked in elegant meeting chambers. Symmetrical, grand marble staircases descending from the wings provided stupendous access to all areas of the building. The classic Greek Revival structure in the center of our city symbolized progression, political strength, and redefined government. The Capitol building is only one of Tortolet's many works in Boise. He initially came to Boise in 1890, where he created an architectural firm and a partnership with Charles Hummel. The list of their completed projects is massive. The National Register of Historic Places lists 149 homes and buildings designed by them. The fact that they remain today speaks to their tremendous and enduring skill. Another building in the Greek Revival style, Boise High School, was experiencing additions of its own. The West Wing was added in 1912, designed for girls with domestic science classes and a cafeteria. In 1919, the Industrial Arts Building was built across from 10th Street and could be seen from the West Wing. The same year, the Boise High School Cadet Corps was established and used a lower floor in the East Wing for their practices until the 1970s. There are still bullet holes in the basement today as reminders of the rifle range. The city was treated to a presidential visit in October of 1911 when President Taft came to give an address to the city. In his speech, he stated, "I want to help you to progress in regards to Boise's continuous development." A parade in his honor began at the Short Line Railway Station and then moved to Capitol Park for entertainment and activities. After a short break, it picked up again, moving to the State House for a ceremonial tree planting, and then proceeded back to the station. Before Taft boarded his train to continue his western tour, he told the statesman, "All in all, This has been the best day we've had on the trip. The decade saw a lot of growth in Boise's downtown area. In 1910, Tortolette and Hummel designed another Boise landmark, the Owyhee Plaza Hotel. One of the oldest hotels in Boise, second to the Idaho, and still in business today, the Owyhee proved to play a distinct role in Boise's community. The city was growing, but still small, possessing only one major hotel, the Idaho. The construction of the Owyhee Plaza created competition between the two at the center of downtown, for the biggest hotspot and for notable visitors as well. The 6-story hotel was planned to have 125 rooms, though today it has 99. A single architectural style cannot define the building, but with its red and white brick facade and its rectangular structure, it has a distinct, classic, and regal look, along with a variety of unique features. One of the most prominent attractions of the Owyhee Hotel was its rooftop garden. Quite the hotspot, the garden was home to a fully equipped restaurant, a dance floor, a bar, and the occasional live band. Additionally, the rooftop offered a panoramic view over the city, one exclusive to that hotel. Throughout its numerous renovations, the Owyhee hosted a plethora of musicians, politicians, weddings, and other events. In addition to the Owyhee, downtown construction thrived. By 1910, construction on the White Savage Apartments was complete. The building is named after its funders, Mr. White and Mr. Savage, two local businessmen. 3 of these apartments were built in Boise, San Diego, and Detroit, and today the Boise location is the last one standing, with its Romanesque 3 stories and Georgian-style porches and columns. The Fronton House of the Basque Block was added to the city in 1912 by the Anduiza family as a boarding house, which worked to preserve Basque culture. In 1913, Tortolette and Hummel remodeled the Boise City National Bank building, adding marble teller cages, ornamental plastic ceiling beams and cornices, marble-encased columns, and marble floors. In 1919, construction of St. John's Cathedral on 8th Street continued, having been previously delayed by World War I. Along with new venues rising up, the tradition of Boise Music Week was founded in 1919 by Eugene A. Frainer, a World War I veteran and musical director at St. Michael's Cathedral and St. Margaret's School, now a part of Boise State University. While other states were creating similar music festivals, Frainer's focus set Boise's Music Week apart from others. He wanted to provide for local performers and their contributions to the community, and to have free admissions, which remains the tradition to this day. Through the 20s and World War II, Music Week took place on a wooden platform outside the Idaho State House, and today it is often held in settings such as the Egyptian Theater. Fort Boise, or the Boise Barracks as it was called, was officially closed in 1912. However, a border skirmish with Mexico in 1916 led to the mobilization of the Idaho National Guard at the fort in support of national policy and part-time use of the grounds once again. Then, a year later, Boiseans mobilized at the fort after being drafted into the Army as America entered World War I. Boiseans served in Europe, helped support the Red Cross, and participated in materials collections. However, like other Americans, Boiseans were not immune to anti-German sentiments that swept the nation, as seen in the abandonment of the Turn Verein Social Club and the scrubbing of their name from the building. While other fears centered around local logging and mining camps populated with IWW supporters and radical union members, Boise's political leaders did choose a middle ground, avoiding the worst of the Red Scare that swept the nation during the last part of the decade. Perhaps more damaging to Boise than ethnic conflict was the influenza of 1918, another byproduct of the war. Boise was certainly not immune, and Boiseans saw their lives changed quickly due to this pandemic. During 1918 and 19, the State Board of Health closed all public places aside from schools. Many locals took to wearing protective face masks on the streets and indoors, making for an almost ghost-like appearance that mirrored the immense death the virus left behind. Boise's close-knit Basque community and its older population were especially hard hit. Today, many gravestones dating back to World War I and the influenza can be found in Pioneer Cemetery on Warm Springs Avenue. World War I ended in 1918, and while Boiseans had not been spared from serving or suffering, they certainly joined in the celebration when it was over. On November 11, 1918, the Idaho Statesman describes a celebration of unbounded joy where 10,000 citizens of Boise paraded the streets Monday afternoon, celebrating the end of the Great War. The mayor of Boise proclaimed it a holiday and called for a mass meeting on the Capitol steps, where an impromptu parade formed at 3 o'clock, accompanied by the Boise Company of the 3rd Idaho Regiment of the National Guard, all marching in beautiful weather. With the population growth at the beginning of the century mirrored by the growth of the city itself, Boise was transforming from a smaller settlement into an authentic, sophisticated city at every corner. The expansion of Harrison Boulevard, today recognized for its historical and architectural significance to the city, was one monumental example. In 1916, median parkways and streetlights were added to the boulevard in order to meet the increasing use of automobiles, along with a statement from the current city engineer who called Harrison a model road, and a model road it was. Many of the city's most prominent citizens built their stately homes along Harrison, all of varying manners and fashions, which made for a splendid collection of grand architectural styles. The city wasn't just expanding to the north, but also the west and the east, with modern bungalow-style homes stretching the city out into the valley and along the foothills. The decade had been busy in Boise, with progressive politics, cultural change, and an impact from national and international events. As locals entered the 1920s, life accelerated into modernity. Boise was ascending into an authentic and lively city.